Hey everybody, guys and gals, welcome to another episode of Get It Right. I'm Mike. That's Terry. That's Trey.
Howdy.
We are very pleased if you're back with us once again. And if you're not here, you're missing out. Of course, if you're not here, you wouldn't know that you're missing out, I guess, so because you're not here.
You can hear it from all your friends.
Your friends will tell you all about what you missed. Yeah.
Move up a little bit here.
Give you some spoiler alerts, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. This is the third installment
The video.
of
Video
the video
version.
podcast of
Yes.
this thing. And you can find all the original audio podcasts that Trey and I have done you can look for Get It Right on Anchor FM, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, and we've got a YouTube channel set up. And if you look at your screen here, we'll show you we've got our Get It Right Facebook page. There that is, right there. And it's right there, facebook.com/Get It Right Podcast.
Which is ironic because you have Trey on the Facebook page. You have a still shot of me smiling, Terry smiling, and Mike with his mouth open.
Yeah. Well, I was
pretty normal.
I was expressing a point.
He's got an Italian, but both hands in the air and a mouth open. So
It's the Italian in me. What can I
Like a
say? You
hint,
know,
but
I can't help it. You know, I'm such a mutt. I mean, I go back and look at my family history. I got Italian. I got English. I got French. I got German. I got Irish. I got Native American. I mean, I am the definition of a mutt.
But most of us in America are.
I'm just a mutt. So I got a little bit. I can claim a little bit of everything.
There you go.
At least Western European, anyway.
How would you characterize that when somebody wants to call you when he calls a certain American? You got to call me Irish, Italian, American.
Yeah, you know, I've tried that. It just doesn't flow very well.
Yeah, this is why I don't like African American. I don't like Indian American. I like
Italian
you're an American.
Yeah, you're an American.
You know, and by the way, my whole thing is I've always been that you get one chance to change what you're going to be called in my lifetime, and I've stuck with it. And when I was young, it was Afro-American, then it went to black, and now it's African American. Nope, I'm stuck at black. So we're good.
So there's an album that John Wayne recorded a couple 3 years before his passing. I think he recorded in 1973 or 74. It's called America, Why I Love Her. And there's a cut on that album that it's called The Hyphen. And he says, you know, when you say I'm Italian American, Irish American, whatever American, what you're saying is I'm a divided American. Right. Just be an American, period. And that's the message of that.
That's how I am.
particular-
I don't like the I'm a something American or a something American. No, you're an American. And then, by the way, if you want to identify your heritage after that, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
But identify yourself as American first.
By the way, before we get too deep into things, because we got a whole laundry list of stuff here to do. Before we get into this, I mentioned John Wayne. So a few weeks ago, my wife and I made the trip down to Fort Worth, and they're at the stockyards. They have an exhibit called the John Wayne Experience. It opened about 1 year ago. Huh. It's a permanent fixture. It's going to be a permanent exhibit there in the stockyards.
Okay.
And they take you on this tour, and they've got all these huge pictures of John Wayne and his family and movies he's done. And of course, they're running snippets from different movies on the screens. They've got his station wagon that he drove. He had a huge, back in the 70s before SUVs were a thing, everybody had a station wagon, including the Duke. He had a station wagon. The family truckster, and it's in the museum. And they're gonna rotate some exhibits in and out. They're gonna bring new things in, take some things away, bring new stuff in. But it's a really, really cool experience if you're a John Wayne fan, if you're a Western film fan, if that genre.
Oh God, if you're an American,
you need to go to this. It costs like $21.50 or $22.50 a person to go to do the exhibit. It'll take you. Well, I mean, you can do it in an hour and a half. If you really take your time, though, it should take you a couple hours to really absorb it all. And they've got all kinds of memorabilia that you can purchase, including that album. They had copies of that album, America, Why I Love Her. They had on CD there at the exhibit. They had for sale in the shop there. So you can pick that up there as well. And I've got a copy of it I've had for years and years and years that someone gave me. I can't remember who gave it to me now, a long time ago. But anyway, it's a really, really cool museum, so you should check it out.
Yeah, well,
they've got stockyards.
Yeah, well, they've got all kinds of other stuff. Now that's at the stockyards versus Will Rogers, because there's over by Will Rogers there's the cowboy or cowgirl museum, or there's
a museum there.
Yes, there's several museums there. It's actually the Museum of Science and History. There's the Kimball Art Museum, and then Will Rogers itself and all that. That was my stomping grounds. Literally, that's where I used to hang out as a kid.
That's
ride
where
my bike
you grew up.
all over that place, and the museum was really cool because we would play hide and seek in there. You could go underneath the displays and make fun of the body, the woman and the man body that was invisible, and I mean, that's the things you did when you were a kid. So,
Oh, I thought you were talking about last week.
No.
Oh, okay.
I was hiding around. So.
Also, check out our website, getitRightPodcast.net.
It is in work, so don't
don't critique it.
Yes,
it's a work in progress, but
we'll have some Latin on there right now as I use the template to put that together. But it's got photos, got a couple of photos. I think it's actually got all of our photos. Two-finger scroll. Teach you how to use a Mac here.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, keep going. And the subscribe now doesn't work or whatever, but anyway, keep going.
Okay.
There you go. There's, see, I got all our photos. And just waiting on Mike's bio and Trey's bio.
I gave you mine, didn't I? It's on there. No. Is it not?
Yeah, we got you just put a little...
Remember? I wasn't getting my email, so...
I have to resend it,
Right, so send it to my backup email.
Yeah. So mine is extremely difficult to read right now.
It says
Ipsum something whatever. Okay.
So check out that website, and we will get it. Terry's done a lot of work, and I want to say thank you.
I'm afraid to read mine out loud because I don't want to summon Satan.
There you go. Yeah. But Terry's done a lot of work getting all that taken care of.
So. Yeah, it's a work in progress, but we've got the Facebook page kind of tweaked and everything, and please share that, especially the Facebook page. Just share that. Technology. But anyway.
By the way, funnily enough, that was just a call. Antoinette Reed. You remember Antoinette Reed? And the toy drive. This goes right into the toy drive.
Oh, there you go.
She is we're working. Antoinette Reed was a class of 90, like Mike and I were. Hershey High Schools. Go Huskies.
Yeah.
Hope they win tonight in Stephenville, by the way. But she is a risk coordinator at one of the schools in town that I'm working with to get toys for kids, for needy kids. All right. So let's talk about our toy drive while we're at it.
Yeah, so we've got the second annual Eddie Hills Fun Cycles Henry Media Solutions Toy Drive underway. It's been going on for several weeks now. Right. And thank you to all those of you that have donated toys or money.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for doing that. But we still have some more kids we need to help. The more toys we can collect, or the more funds we can collect to purchase toys with, the more kids we can help out this Christmas. Simple as that.
Yeah, our goal is and we need to do this by the end of next week because we've got to deliver them the fall and get them wrapped and everything.
Yeah.
So we're down about 25 boys and 25 girls, so about 50 kids right now. Put it this way, donations or not, these kids are going to get toys. Right. I'll guarantee that. But if we get those donations, it helps. And, oh, by the way, if we get more donations than that 50, there's some kids, we can identify some more kids and get them out, but we have to get it all done by the 18th.
Right.
Because we've got to be able to get them wrapped and ready and distributed.
Awesome. Right. So, it was very successful last year. So far, this year's been great.
Yes.
Those of you that donated, thank you. You've been very generous, but we still have more kids to help. So, you can drop the donations off. We're asking for you to donate a new unwrapped toy. You can take it directly to Eddie Hills Fun Cycles at 401 North Scott in downtown Wichita Falls. Or if you don't want to shop, maybe you're done with your shopping and you're like, I'm over it. I'm not going back to any store. I'm done. Okay, could you give us a cash donation or donate by credit card or check even? Whatever you want to do it. You can drop off the donations at 401 North Scott. If you want to mail in a check, you can mail it to 401 North Scott, Wichita Falls, Texas.
And I open every bit of mail there, so it won't be redirected. It'll be
although I would recommend not because they've added a couple of days. If you can get it any other way, that would be the best way for sure.
Yeah,
but if you that's the only way you're out of town. That's the only way you're getting. But a credit card would be the easiest, right?
Credit card's fine, and we're eating the fees. So I'll tell you another thing that's interesting. Yeah. We had a listener that we have on the broadcast, normal regular listener, Mike from Northern California, and I believe he's a subscriber and listens to us here.
Rock and roll.
There was a box that showed up last Saturday.
Yeah.
That had 5 airplanes. I mentioned this on the broadcast.
The model airplanes. Yeah.
Yeah. But these were the wooden model airplanes where you build your own model. Really nice. I mean, you opened up, you could smell the cedar and stuff. Made in America, made in California.
Yeah.
And one of his friends, and I mentioned it. I don't have his friend's name written down, but I mentioned it on the air yesterday. Was the guy who donated that, and then Mike facilitated getting it to our store. So
wonderful.
We want to say thanks to everybody that donated. Please keep them rolling in. We want to help as many kids as we can.
Yep. All right. And if you want to do a credit card donation by phone, you can do that. You can call 940-322-4121. And between 9 and
8:30 to 5:30, Tuesday through Friday.
Okay.
9 to 4 on Saturday, closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Right. So 940-322-4121 if you want to donate by credit card. That would be awesome. But again, we need to have these donations in by the end of this coming week, which would be the 17th, I guess, basically next Friday.
Saturday
the
18th. Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing too. Every penny is going toward buying stuff for kids.
That's right.
No administrative fees, no wrapping paper, no labor, no nothing like that. Every penny goes toward Mike's company has donated a whole bunch of wrapping paper. My guys are doing guys and gals are working on the wrapping and the labor, and we'll jump in the car and go deliver. I guess it would be the following.
Cool. Love it. Well, okay, so we got a few topics that we'd like to cover here today on this edition of Get It Right. So the Schumer-McConnell deal in the Senate.
Yeah.
They got together and they raised the debt ceiling. And
what they did is they changed the law to make it able to raise the debt ceiling.
Right.
They changed the rules because in the Senate they've had these filibuster rules.
Right.
And so they were going to be able to, you're going to have your Ted Cruz or somebody else would be able to filibuster this and keep the debt ceiling from going. Mitch McConnell, traitor, got with Chucky Schumer, horrible, and now they've eliminated that filibuster rule. So now all they have to do is raise the debt ceiling, and all they have to have is the votes, and they already have the votes because they have 50% plus one. They've got the vice president to break the tie.
And, people here talk about they're raising the debt ceiling. Well, what does that mean? Well, the easiest way I can illustrate it is this. You have a credit card, and you have a $2,000 credit limit on it, and you get close to maxing that out. You pick up the phone, you call the bank. Hey, bank, I need you to raise my credit limit. Okay, so you double your credit limit to $4,000, and then you max that out, and you call the bank. Hey, bank, I need you to raise my credit limit. Okay, $6,000. You just keep getting credit limit increases in perpetuity. The debt ceiling increase, it's kind of the same thing because all they're doing, they're not focusing on how do we pay down the debts we've got and open up some spending room, which in your household, that's how you would do it.
In most businesses, you call it an open to buy.
Right.
Like if you stock stuff, you have an open to buy. You can't buy more inventory until you sell to relieve some inventory and have space to open to buy.
Right. But this what they're doing here is enabling our government to continue basically to spend and borrow into perpetuity. And that's the reason they keep raising the debt ceiling, basically giving themselves more headroom all the time, but never focusing on how do we pay down the debts. And we've talked about this before, how you can watch that debt clock ticking up and up and up and up and up. Here, let me
bring it up. And while you're doing that, I'll add that it's like going to the bank and telling the bank we're going to raise our debt.
You're right. It's not even like asking. You're absolutely right, Terry. It's not like asking.
Yeah, it's just there's no accountability.
It's like you're going to raise my debt ceiling.
Yeah, it's like what do you do? So but there's no accountability. It's just crazy to me. And
well, you can't run a business that way, can you, Terry?
No,
you can't run a personal household that way
because we don't have an unlimited debt instrument anywhere. But
we can't print our own money.
So you look here at this called usdebtclock.org, and look right here. U.S. national debt, $29 trillion and counting.
It looks like you're buying gas in Europe because that's how fast the gas meter runs because you buy it in liters over there. And let me tell you, that son of a bitch spins in a hurry over there when you start talking about cranking out
now,
liters.
They have an app.
Right down. Look, yeah.
Oh my God.
So look.
Our new amazing mobile app.
I'm thinking that
so you could be sick everywhere. You don't have to be sitting in front of your computer to be sick to your stomach. Yeah, to be depressed. You could be driving down the road and
Terry, if that damn thing crashes my iPhone, will Apple cover it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Yeah, if the number gets so big.
So look here. This U.S. unfunded liabilities. So this is all the stuff, the Social Security benefits, the Medicare, Medicaid, all of this stuff that they are obligated to into the future that we don't even have paid for yet. $161.552 trillion.
Which nobody can wrap their head around.
You can't. Now you came up. You had a really good illustration of a billion, a trillion, and so forth.
And a million, yeah. We real quickly, just to put in perspective,
right.
A million seconds ago was about 12 days ago.
Right.
Roughly. A billion seconds ago, George H.W. Bush was the president of the United States.
Right.
About 32 years ago.
Right.
A trillion seconds ago, Neanderthal man was walking the earth.
Yeah. So
literally, it was about 32,000 years ago.
That gives you an idea of
From
how...
a million to a trillion, that gives you an idea of the delta between a million and a trillion.
Yeah. 161 trillion seconds ago, the Earth hadn't been created yet.
Yeah.
So, this
God
is
was a teenager. He was just thinking about stuff,
Yeah, he was thinking, I wonder what I could invent here, and get some things together here. But, look, it's the perspective, it's mind-boggling. Even when you can put it into perspective, it's mind-boggling. And here they are continuing to raise the debt ceiling. Now, I believe it was 14 Republicans that joined the Democrats to get this passed. I'm going to read the list here.
There you go. Let's memorialize them. Make them famous.
We've got Mitch McConnell, Republican from Kentucky.
Yeah, no surprise.
John, is it Thune?
Yes.
From South Dakota. John Barrasso from Wyoming. Roy Blunt from Missouri. Joni Ernst from Iowa.
Not a surprise.
No shock there. Tom Tillis, North Carolina. Richard Burr, North Carolina. Again, no surprise there. John Cornyn, damn sure no surprise there. Texas.
Yeah.
Lisa Murkowski, who needs to just go ahead and rejoin the Democratic Party from Alaska. Shelley Moore Capito, Republican from West Virginia. Roger Wicker from Mississippi. Susan Collins from Maine.
No surprise.
Yeah, again, just go ahead and put the D at the end of your name and get it over with. And then Rob Portman, Republican from Ohio, and another one that will be no shock to anyone.
Shocking!
Mitt Romney from Utah. All of these Republicans joined in raising this debt. Again, this is my problem. I don't give a damn what party you're with, Republican, Democrat. I don't care. There should be some responsibility demanded of you here.
Absolutely.
I mean, guys, am I right or am I wrong? We don't demand enough accountability out of these people.
No.
We don't demand enough responsibility out of these people.
Well, they know that what's going to happen. Are they going to get fired? Are they going to get voted out? Almost never.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're an incumbent, once you can get in there, you're hard to unseat. It's possible, but it's very tough.
Congress has for years typically had an approval rating somewhere down around 9-10%. But yet 95% of the incumbents will get reelected. Every damn time they'll get reelected. And the problem, one of the problems is, number one, we don't have any term limits for Congress. So you can just keep running and running. They've turned it into a career field.
Right. Running
for Congress, being in Congress, it's turned into a career opportunity. The other thing is that when you're the incumbent, most of the big money donations flow your way. If you've been in there for a couple of terms and then the big money donations continue to flow your way, you're able to build up this massive war chest that your rivals can't touch.
Because you're in power, the lobbyists and stuff like that, they know where to direct that money because you can influence.
Yeah.
If you're just the guy who's running against somebody in Congress, you have no influence yet.
And you don't have the name recognition. God, that's the thing. How many people go into the voting booth and push the button for the guy whose name or gal whose name they recognize?
Absolutely.
What you wouldn't. I guarantee there's people that every one of you, the three of us here included, we're guilty too, I'm sure, have voted for over the years that we wouldn't have known him if we hit him in the street.
By the way, can you take that off? It's making me sick to watch it.
I'm sorry.
And my eyes are going funny here.
We'll go back to that.
If you ever bring the website up, just make sure you have a good drink right next to you.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna need it.
Yeah, smoke crack or something, whatever you need to do.
That's
it. Chill out.
Well, maybe not that, but
Normally I'd say a good single malt scotch will do it, but it may not cut it for this one.
You might need a double malt scotch. Which
Anyway, but
is it double better than single? Hell, I don't know.
No.
Okay,
no.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, you know,
I'm not a drinker, so I don't
know. A good vintage Glenlivet will take care of a lot of things.
There you go.
And they're not paying to be on the show, and they should be.
Yes, we'll just send them a bill.
Send them a bill. We'll just do that.
Sure yeah, I'm sure they'll understand.
Just jump right on it. Anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, but you get the name recognition. So many people just vote for the name that they see, and that's how so many of these incumbents keep coming back. And also, there's this attitude, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's this attitude of, well, my congressman or my congresswoman is great. It's your congressman that's a problem. My guy or gal is okay. It's yours that we have a problem with. Well, hell, if everybody thinks that, then no incumbent ever gets booted out.
Well, so I was going to say is that we could incorporate a test into the voting process. So when you go to vote, you first have to identify who is on the ballot, at least 2 out of 3.
Match a name with a picture.
Match no, just you have to be able to write in the name and get a match, and then you can vote. As long as you can identify the people, then there you go. So, well, I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah, well, at the same time, the Congress will impose their own term limits.
Yeah,
no kidding. Which they're never going to do.
Yeah.
No,
they're not going to limit
Article 5.
They're not going to kill their own golden goose. That's not going to happen. I think the only way you ever get to term limits, frankly, is through an Article 5 convention of states.
Yeah. Yeah,
what I said?
You said you said 5.
Okay. 5.
You were right.
There's just
you just didn't throw the convention of states. Mike had to take it a step further. Yeah.
Constitutionally proper, you know.
Did you say constitution or constipation?
Well, it could be either one, actually. You know, I mean, I've constipationally complicated.
There you go.
Know? But I think that's the only way you get that done. They're never going to limit themselves.
No.
You know, because they're all, I mean, it's...
Kill the golden goose.
Exactly. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And
they'll come up with all kinds of bullshit reasons not to, other than we don't want to lose our jobs.
Yeah.
But in the end, that's the reason behind it.
Well, and you'll hear occasionally you'll hear a congressman or congresswoman talk about it, and it's I'm fully in favor of term limits. Yeah, I support them. But okay, then why don't you term limit yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, why don't you self-impose the term limit? You did. How many years on the school board?
12 years. I was on the WFISD Board of Trustees, Wichita Falls ISD Board of Trustees, and I self-imposed a term limit.
Yeah.
There's no term limits on the WFISD. Now, I moved. People go, you moved. Well, I was going to move anyhow.
Yeah.
But I had already said years and years before, I believe in term limits. Right. I can't scream about it on the radio into a microphone for a dozen years and say I believe in term limits and then not do it myself.
Do it yourself, yeah.
So I had term limited myself. And by the way, to put my money where my mouth is, yes, I did move. I did build a house in another district out of town. But I said when I ran for that third term, I said publicly, I will not run again.
Yeah.
This is my last term.
Yeah.
I will not. I'll do 4 years, and I will not do another one.
And personally, and I'm not just saying this because we've known each other forever. I mean this. I admire you for doing that. You were a man of your word. You said, I believe in term limits. I'm gonna self-impose them, and you did. And if we could just get everyone in Congress to do that, do 12 years. And then go back home. Go back to whatever it was you did before.
Well, that's what it's made for. I mean, that's the whole point. That's why they're 2-year terms in the House of Representatives. Yeah. Now, people can say, well, it was easy for you because you were just on the school board. You weren't making any money. And that's true.
Yeah.
I'll agree. It would be harder to tell somebody who's in Congress who's making money to do that. But it doesn't. That's why you don't have to leave it up to them. We need to do something to impose that on them.
And I think maybe that's one of the problems with some of these school boards. We hear all these things about these different school districts around the country and some really wild, stupid things going on, and I think that may be part of the problem. You do have school boards around the country where the board members do make pretty damn good salaries for serving on school boards. Here in
I
Wichita,
need to move there.
here in Wichita County,
Well, in Texas, you don't make a penny.
No, you
Not
don't
a
make a
penny.
penny. It's basically a volunteer
It's
position.
100% volunteer position
that you have to campaign for.
that you have to campaign for. You have to pay. It costs you money to be on a school board.
Yeah.
And by the way, you have all the pitfalls,
Yeah.
legal pitfalls of any elected official. You can go to prison.
Yeah.
If you screw up.
That's
I mean,
right.
if you do something, you have to do something illegal.
There are rules that you must
That's right.
adhere to. And so in Texas, you don't make any money doing it. And, it's the same thing, like take city council. Our city councilors in Wichita Falls, they make, $400 or $500 a month. It's walking around money.
Yeah.
They don't really you can't make a living being a city councilor here.
You can't be a state representative
Right, I was
either.
going to say,
No.
Yeah.
there's a stipend.
But
that's about it.
now
Some
by
expenses.
contrast, our county commissioners, on the other hand, they actually make a pretty good salary. Our county officials do, but when you the mayor and then you get the state. What's a state representative get per session?
It seems like it's about $26,000 a year, is what it boils down to.
Yeah,
Is
which
which by the way, you're not going to be living on $26,000 a year
No.
if you're a state representative because
No.
you have a lot of expenses and by the way, you're not going to you can't live on it.
and Uncle Sugar
Yeah.
still gets a cut,
That's right.
even the state officials to pay Uncle Sugar's
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
his demand.
That's right.
So, anyway, so Terry has a story here about.
Terry said, "Oh yeah, I do."
Okay, so every once in a while you see something. We've seen these protests around the country. This anti-police movement has really gotten out of hand. We've seen cities defunding the police. We've got another story about Chicago coming up here on that. But Terry was telling me about this one. So a restaurant in San Francisco actually threw some cops out of their restaurant.
Oh,
Shocking.
They were politely asked to leave.
I was going to say, a guy's got a gun on his hip. You're not going to throw him anywhere. Yeah.
They tossed them out like Frisbees,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, right.
I mean, come
It's
on.
the reason they did it that's
Yeah.
really the issue is that they
Stupid.
And do they have the right? I suppose they do, but
It's a private business.
You can
but-
refuse service to anybody.
Yeah, as long as it's not
the
race,
race,
creed, color, gender. But you can't say that. I mean, unless they were all bisexual, transgendered,
there's more to that.
whatever, Muslim, cops, then you might be able to say. But if you simply come up and say because you're wearing a uniform, because you have a gun, you can't. That doesn't fall under that discrimination
It's not a protected
clause. That's
class.
right.
Listen to this.
So owners of Hilda and Jesse, a breakfast restaurant in North Beach, which I guess is around San Francisco there, they apologized for the incident, but not only after they got a little bit of backlash, like 1-star reviews. Right now, their Yelp page is 1 star, and they shut down. Yelp shut down their ability to have anybody.
So you can't vote on
rate.
it anymore.
Yeah.
But
Rate
and,
them.
and
No more yelping.
And that adds another thing that I have, that's just a slightly offshoot of the thing about Yelp. But in any case, they said that some police officers came in and they asked them politely to leave because they felt uncomfortable with the presence of their multiple weapons. And then they said that this restaurant is a safe space. It's,
Not anymore.
yeah, the presence of officers' weapons in the restaurant made us feel uncomfortable. And it was not a political statement, but I think that's inherently a political statement if you're doing that. And and so then Rachel Silcox, Sillcocks, said that the restaurant was a safe space, and we've said that already, particularly for queer and BIPOC, BIPOC, which
Okay, and
I know, but it's for those.
so
individuals.
nobody who's gay can have a gun.
I,
That's stupid. No, seriously, that's
I know.
once again. Now you're being discriminatory. You're taking and you're saying all gay people are against guns.
right.
That's discriminatory. You're an idiot.
Yep.
It's like saying all black people vote a certain way and all Hispanic people vote a certain way. That's a racist statement. This is a anti-gay statement because you're lumping everybody who happens to be gay into a.
But not in their mind, it's not.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, because they're stupid.
Yeah, but queer and BIPOC, BIPOC, a new term, new acronym, It stands for Black, Indigenous, and People of Color.
Okay.
Once again, did people of color got more letters in that than the Black and the Indigenous? So now you're discriminating against.
Once again, racist. You're a racist and anti-gay. I hate the word homophobe because phobia is that word is so overused and used incorrectly. I refuse to use it because phobia means fear. But so what they're saying is these people it's a racist statement. Doesn't mean they're racists. Right. It's a racist statement and it's an anti-gay statement because what you're saying is all gay people are the same and all black people, people of color are the same.
Yeah. And there you go. So and indigenous. Don't forget them. Got to inclusion. Okay.
I'm sorry. So I left out the people with indigenous people.
So anyway, after that was published on their Instagram page, they were bombarded with 1-star reviews on their Yelp page. Wow. And like I said, I was just looking at it, and their Yelp page has 445 reviews, and which pushed them all the way down to 1 star right now. Oh. And so and I'm not advocating that we should bomb somebody's reviews, but it is something that the fear of these guns or people, these 3 officers are going to just somehow start terrorizing the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they do it all the time.
That's just, I don't know. I just don't get it. But that wasn't. But hey, at least wasn't it good? At least that people did respond and showed them that was wrong, even in California. Now, I guess this probably got national attention, obviously.
But there are people in San Francisco that are reasonable people.
Yes.
Yeah, not everyone in San Francisco is a complete dumbass.
No.
So it's one of those deals. Yeah, there are people that it's like Austin. You hear people say all the time, "Keep Austin weird." There's people that lived in Austin for years that hate that.
I know.
Because they remember when Austin wasn't weird, when Austin was Austin.
Yeah. Well, I think it feels like that you're outnumbered. That side, that extreme far leftist mentality, that side has us outnumbered. And I don't think that's the case.
Hell no.
What it is they're just louder. They're more vocal. They're more they're more bold in their demands and their threats. And where our side, we don't threaten anybody over. Let's take Second Amendment rights. I don't threaten anybody over my Second Amendment rights. I assert it. I will argue with you all day long. The Constitution says I have a right to keep and bear arms. Period. That's it. Conversation done. Don't like it? Find somewhere else to live, I guess. But the Constitution says very plainly, and the courts have repeatedly reinforced that it means what it says. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. What part of shall not be infringed do you not understand? Now, 3 police officers walk into a restaurant and they're all armed. God, what a shock. The hell do you expect? They're cops.
Yeah, what are they supposed to leave them on the doorstep outside?
I mean, I'm sure as in Texas, you can, and they've actually added a new one to this. We have what are called 30-06 and 30-07 notifications. And those don't refer to calibers. Those refer to sections and subsections.
You carry anything with your 30-06 in here. Yeah.
It refers to sections and subsections of the Texas Criminal Code that define when and where you can and cannot or cannot act, what prohibits you from bringing a firearm into a place of business. Right. 30-06 says you can't carry concealed. 30-07 says you can't carry open. Then there's a new one that says it's called 30-5 that basically says you cannot bring a weapon, period, into this establishment. Okay? And this, I think, was done in response to and maybe to help get passage of constitutional carry here in Texas. Right. I think that was a component of that vote to do constitutional carry here. Because now in Texas, you don't have to have a license to carry. Now, I have a license to carry, and I plan to maintain my license to carry. Because there's some reciprocity with other states, so when I travel,
That's right, yeah.
I could at least legally take my handgun with me and have it on my person. However, there's some places now that disallow it, whether you're carrying concealed or open. Now, if you're carrying concealed and no one can see it and you don't say anything, no one's going to know, probably. I'm not advocating anybody breaking the law. I'm just saying, hello, common sense. But you know, if a business says don't bring them in here, okay, don't bring them. And if you don't like that, don't do business with them.
That's the thing. Yeah. Please respect that business.
Yeah, just don't do
They have a
business
right
with
to do it. Now, is it stupid? I think so.
Yeah, I do
Because,
too.
like you said, we're going to turn this into a safe space. No, we're going to tell criminals that nobody in here is ever going to have a gun.
Right.
So feel free.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, a lot of people make the argument with you take the school shootings. You know, that part of the reason that school shootings happen at all is because the individual committing that crime knows that there's no one in this building that's armed.
It's
They
a safe
can't stop.
space.
They can't stop me.
Yeah.
No one can stop me. Now here in Texas, that's not. We have school districts here in Texas where some, and in some cases, all of the staff in the building are armed.
That's right.
You know, or at least some of them are, and you don't know who they are. They don't reveal
Yeah,
themselves.
they don't strap a gun and walking around with them
No,
on their hip.
no, they're carry concealed.
they're trained. By the way, these staff members are trained. This isn't some willy-nilly you just show up with your daddy's old shotgun and stuff it in your pants. These are trained staff members. They're trained by law enforcement as to respond to an active shooter situation.
Right. And they've had training that goes above and beyond what the average person's going to have.
For sure.
You know, they've been trained, you know, in these hostile active shooter situations. You know, because that's a whole different category there. The active shooter situation. Adrenaline is flowing, fear is high, and you've got to know how to stay in control of yourself and your firearm in that situation.
Well, that's the biggest thing. When you have a firearm, you're 100% responsible for that projectile.
Yeah.
When you pull that trigger, you're 100% responsible for where that projectile ends up. Mm-hmm. If you shoot and miss somebody, you hit somebody else, you're responsible for hitting somebody else.
Yeah.
You can't say, whoops, sorry, I missed.
Some people in Hollywood could learn that.
Oh, my God.
Well, let me put a bow on this one, though. Right before the show here, Trey and I had been discussing this particular incident, and I guess I didn't see the rest of the story. So
Terry had me in a headlock and was threatening to punch me and stuff. I don't know.
So basically, their initial statements from all of this was that, hey, they were trying to justify why they did it. Mm-hmm. And I had already mentioned some of the other stuff that said, but they basically initially said, yeah, we would happily welcome them off duty, out of uniform, without weapons, and that we're sorry that that decision upset you. We understand your perspective, and we hope you'll consider ours. Of course, I would hope they would think that with regard to masks and all this other stuff. But anyway,
no kidding.
But anyway, finally, what they did though is they finally came around and got really thought about this after they were bombarded, and ultimately they ended up saying, "Hey, we made a mistake and apologize for the unfortunate incident on Friday, and we're asked members of the San Francisco Police Department to leave." That they asked them, that was a mistake. And that we're grateful to all members of the force who work hard and keep us safe, especially during challenging times. And then we hope this will be a teachable moment.
Yeah. I remember that term,
and
teachable
as
moment.
we repair and continue to build the bridges with SFED. So these are stressful times, and we handled this badly. So now, does that mean that they'll still ask them to come back?
Who knows? Does anybody want to go back?
No
If
kidding.
you were a San Francisco police officer, would you want to go back
Especially if you're one of those
Piss
cops that
on
was
'em.
thrown out.
Piss
Why
on
the
'em.
hell would you
Well,
want to go back there?
Yeah.
But at least in this case, though, Starbucks has had this happen too. An individual individual people on a given shift have done the same thing and asked them to leave and all that. And Starbucks, of course, came back and said, no, that's not, although we may have issues with Starbucks and other companies, we still have to, just recognize when they do at least correct things. So.
Well, and I agree with that. The difference was with Starbucks, those were individual employees at individual stores. This, I believe, was the owners.
Right.
Which is a whole different, to me, that's a whole different ball of wax.
Now, Starbucks did, for a while, as a company, ask people who did have weapons, even in places like Texas, that to please not show up and bring them on, on their premises. But in Texas, I have yet, or at least in our area, I have yet to see the sign, the 30-06 sign or whatever.
Well, because they want to make money.
Right.
In the end,
Exactly.
In the end, they want to make money. They want to make this bullshit statement and socially responsible and yada yada. But in the end, do they want to tell everybody who's a licensed carry person, don't come in buy coffee here? No. Yep. They want everybody $7 or $8 or whatever the hell it costs to buy coffee at Starbucks.
So let's think about this. Having no mask is just as dangerous as having a concealed carry weapon. So there you go. Think about that.
I'm
all right. Moving on.
I'm so sick of that.
Yep.
Chicago, Lori Lightfoot blaming store owners
Oh, sorry. I threw up in my mouth when you said that name.
for the rise in theft in Chicago. I think the last podcast we may have talked. Well, maybe we didn't talk about it, but there was an incident in San Francisco, oddly enough, where a mob of people stormed a store with ski masks on and weapons, and just basically just trashed the place, stole.
It's happening in major cities everywhere now.
Many thousands of dollars in merchandise. Yeah. Well, so it's happening in Chicago. They've got rampant shoplifting going on, and she wants to blame the store owners. Trey, what exactly did she say?
Well, she said, when I saw her interviewed, she said the shop owners have been resistant to hire security and to keep their cameras updated. And that's what's causing this problem. Number one, a camera doesn't stop anybody.
No.
So you can have all the cameras you want, and you think you're protected. You're not protected. It helps you possibly in the prosecution later on.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying don't have a camera, but don't think that you have a camera there so nobody's going to mess with you. But number two, those store owners, last time I checked, most of them have to pay taxes.
That's right.
And that funds, what do we call that? Police?
Police, yep.
But now I have to hire extra people. And, oh, by the way, in Chicago, can my security owner people, can they enforce the rules in the store? Can they have guns? Do they have to have a Nerf bat to sit there and to defend your store? This is stupid.
Like whack-a-mole.
This is stupid. This is that bullshit. Like somebody's going to blame you for doing something that they ought to be handling. This is the government's job.
Yeah,
the government's job is to protect life and property.
You know, I feel really my heart goes out to these business owners, especially the small, independent, privately owned businesses. I'm not talking about like, you know, a Walmart or a Walgreens or some big corporation. I'm talking about a privately owned business, you know, something like a MacTech Solutions or an Eddie Hill's Fun Cycles, that, you know, they don't have a multi-billion-dollar corporation that can help them rebuild their store.
Correct.
And restock their store after it's been robbed and pillaged and burned. They don't have that. These small mom and pop, if you want to call them that, operations, when they get hurt like this, when their store gets robbed, when it gets pillaged, when it's burned, maybe they got insurance, but you know what? I got news for you. Insurance doesn't cover everything.
Well, not only that, you have to wait for it to kick in.
That's right.
You have employees to take care of. There's
That's right.
There's a lot to that.
Many of these people have their entire life invested in these businesses. This is not just their way of making a living. This is their life savings. This is everything they've worked for in terms of money and success that they have poured into this business. And then to have a mob of thugs come storming in with weapons in hand, destroying your property, breaking the windows, turning things upside down, stealing your merchandise, and then maybe even burning it to the ground on their way out. That's unacceptable. And anybody, I want to be really plain here, any mayor, any governor, any elected official out there that does not have a problem with that would actually say we're not going to prosecute people for that stuff, you are a coward and you are a fool. And the only thing that you can do that's reasonable and just is to resign your elected position and walk away. Otherwise, you deserve to be in prison for being complicit in these crimes. How can you sit there as an elected official, Lori Lightfoot, or anyone else in this country, and say, we're not going to prosecute people who steal? We're not going to prosecute people who destroy public or private property. The hell is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Any mayor, governor, commissioner, anybody anywhere that says we're not going to prosecute that, you are a coward and you are a fool and you do not deserve to be in elected office.
Well, but the whole, like, getting down to the security officers
Sorry, I didn't
okay.
mean to just jump on the soapbox and start pounding.
Actually,
yes, I did. But
I was going to say it's got to be an awful big soapbox because I'm standing right on it with you.
Yeah.
Well,
got to be a heavy duty soapbox.
I don't know,
it just makes me so damn mad.
I'm disappointed that they're not doing more to take safety and make it a priority, she said. For example, we still have retailers that won't institute measures like having security officers in their store, making sure they have got cameras that are actually operational, and that's what you mentioned. But having a security officer also, then the ones with guns cost more.
Sure.
Right? You have to pay more for that.
There's
and
liability
even to have
issues,
them in there to begin with. And yes, what individual small business like us has a security officer in there? That just doesn't happen.
No, it's just the staff's arm. So
Right. Yeah. And yeah, it's just
like you said, it costs more. It does not just cost more in hiring that person. It costs more in your insurance,
right,
and things like that because you take on an extra level of liability.
Right.
And by the way, once again, I go back into Chicago with all of their handgun laws and all that. Can you even have an armed security person in Chicago?
Well, okay.
Private security, I don't know.
Beyond the theft and the burning and the pillaging and all that, look at the murders that happen in Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, every weekend, it's just, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 15 murders every damn weekend. You can't legally own or possess a firearm in the city of Chicago, but yet they've got some of the highest and maybe the highest murder rate in America.
At least a handgun. I don't know about long arms, but I know handguns. I believe you.
Yeah, definitely handguns you can, and they've got maybe the highest murder rate right now in the country.
Yeah. So
clearly, banning law-abiding citizens who can legally own and possess a firearm, banning them from having them and prohibiting them from carrying them, that's not the solution.
No, it has
that
never been.
Doesn't fix anything. That is a fool's narrative. It does not stop the killing. And a lot of these murders, a lot of it arguably is probably gang-on-gang violence.
Right.
Rival gang members killing each other, or innocent people getting caught in the crossfire between these rival gangs.
It does happen. Yes.
It happens. And you can find a story. I guarantee you can find at least 2, 3, 4 stories a week, fresh stories a week about that if you go and you dig deep enough. Those things don't always make national headlines. They're not always a headline on Fox or CNN or anywhere else. But it happens. And clearly, banning people like us from having a handgun doesn't stop it. It doesn't help.
Well, you were asking about whether it was legal to have a firearm or which ones you could have maybe. Well, I pulled up the law apparently, and this is crazy. This is just one of the statements in their ordinance. When a gun is registered within the city, certain personal identifying information such as the registrant's address is obtained so that a first responder can be advised that a gun is present in that home. In order to protect the privacy and safety of people registering guns, any information provided in the registration procedures shall not be accessible to the public. Well, I'm sorry, I don't trust that to begin with.
No.
But anyway, but it goes on and on. So apparently there is a way to go through the process, but what is the likelihood of getting it approved and all of that? Those are just big questions I have. So, that's interesting. You got to have a license, though. Anyway, crazy.
Yeah. Well, you want to move on from national to international here. There's some big stuff going on in a couple of countries, and you have some big countries, Russia and China, that are threatening basically invasion. Yeah. And they're kind of threatening them at the same time, folks. This is serious.
Yeah, it is. It is. You've got Russia threatening to invade the Ukraine, which, by the way, I heard last night. We're recording this on a Friday. I heard last night that the Biden administration has or was planning to advise Ukrainian officials to surrender land to Russia. That was there's a territory dispute.
Yeah.
And they're advising the Ukrainians to surrender the territory. But then also you got China threatening Hong Kong. I mean,
and that's been ramping up, by the way.
Man, well, in China and Taiwan,
yeah,
that's been going. That dispute's been going on forever. But can you imagine what kind of a position? And Terry, you've served in the military, so you have a little more insight into this than we do. what kind of a position does it put us in defense-wise? If we've got, let's say the Russians invade the Ukraine, China invades Hong Kong, and
Or
maybe
Taiwan,
or even
yeah.
or Taiwan, and all of a sudden we've got these major conflicts exploding around the globe, and we're expected to come to somebody's aid, no doubt. Puts us in a hell of a position right now, I would think.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. Here's what. Let me just say this. My perspective, anyway, on this kind of stuff is, I actually on the China thing, I didn't realize. I looked it up, and I don't remember all the details, but there's this ongoing. They're separate, but they're similar. It's an argument about who is claiming not Beijing, but there's certain identifiers as part of the being called. Not Chinese, but maybe it's Taiwanese or something.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, there's
Taiwan
an
is the
identity
big-
issue, and then you've got not all of that area is under Chinese control,
Correct.
although they want
Right.
to, and that's why I guess part of this. Yeah. So it'd be helpful. Maybe that's something we can get into one time is talk about just briefly because I think it was interesting when I was reading it about the relationship between Taiwan and Hong Kong and the communist China, which I guess is People's Republic of China, and then there's the People's, the Republic of China, and then there's the People's Republic. Yeah. So what all does that really kind of mean? But anyway.
But what happens if we what happens if we have, and is this a result of having such a weak administration right now, where Russia feels comfortable to threaten Ukraine, and China feels comfortable to threaten Taiwan or whatever? Is that an indication of that they feel that way because we have such a weak administration?
Yeah.
I think they do look at this administration as weak and feckless and incapable. We don't even really know. Look, can everybody just be honest about the administration? Joe Biden clearly has major cognitive issues.
Of course.
Major. He almost certainly has dementia. And I'll tell you what, anybody out there that thinks I'm wrong, go back and find some footage of Joe Biden from 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and watch an interview or a speech from the podium or whatever with Joe Biden from 8 or 10 years ago, and compare that to today. His cognitive decline has been rapid, and it is gaining speed on the way down, and that is the case with dementia. And I can say this because, as I have stated before, I have personally been an eyewitness to the damage dementia does to the human body. I have been a caregiver to patients with dementia in my own family. I have seen what the hell this does. He's got the markers of it, and that's just the stuff we get to see publicly. 95% of what's going on with our president right now is behind the curtain. You don't see it, we don't see it, nobody sees it.
You got odds back there.
Yeah. You do. And so now.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain.
No kidding. So we don't even know who in the hell's really running the show here. We can speculate, we can speculate who it is. I can tell you right now it's not the vice president. She ain't running nothing.
Well, yeah, they don't want her running anything for
no.
sure, but they kind of keep her off.
They don't even her own party doesn't even respect her. I don't think they like her, and I think they don't respect her. And so who's really running things? And I think our adversaries in the world, and I think it's fair to call the communist Chinese an adversary. I think it's fair to call the Russians an adversary. These people are not our friends. They never. Russia's okay. Communism went away. No, it didn't. It just changed its damn clothes. Is what it did. That's all it did.
Well, you have Vladimir Putin, who's an old school hard communist, who really wants the CCCP back.
He ran the KGB, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Not a friend.
Yeah.
So
yet a friend.
Yeah. Yet. So you've got these adversaries that look at this and they think that there's an opportunity here to exploit our weakness and our inability to respond to some things.
Yeah. I think there's some of that.
Because right now, you can have the biggest, baddest, toughest damned army on the planet. If you don't have great leadership, what's it worth?
Doesn't mean anything.
And right now, we don't have great leadership. We just don't. Now, in the military ranks, yes, we may have some fantastic leadership. I'm talking about from the White House and the individuals down the chain that the White House dictates to, such as the Pentagon, for example. We don't have great leadership in place right now. We just don't. And it starts at the top. It starts at the top.
That's how our system's set up.
Yep.
Our system is set up that our military is controlled by civilians.
Right.
At the top.
The commander-in-chief.
Yeah. In the military, it's military. But there's a reason behind that, because otherwise you could be a dictatorship.
Right.
So I love our system, but the problem is when you have weakness at the top like this, it can really cause problems.
And it is so weak right now.
Well, and so we also have the U.S. Looking to boycott the Chinese Olympics here for the winter of 2022. So,
several countries have already hopped on board that boycott.
Yeah, are they going to boycott or just not send a delegation?
Well,
I think our athletes are going to
go. They're kind of calling it a bit of a boycott, but it's just not technically. I guess they're not going to.
Joe Biden's not going to go and stuff like that.
Right, they're not going to send a delegation, but it says that the Chinese Foreign Ministry said it has launched a solemn representation. Let's see, with the U.S. and vowed to take resolute countermeasures, whatever that means. And along with this, so yeah, they're emboldened to react and to start to maybe take it on this. Because so back to the Chinese thing, wasn't it basically that Hong Kong and Taiwan were sort of off limits from a lot of the power and the control of the People's Republic of China, and so they had some so that made it a lot easier for us to do business with them. But then there's been some of that was relinquished, I guess, some of that. But then I don't know. It was they've been fighting on this for years, for many hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Great Britain had control of Hong Kong up until about 30, 35 years ago.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
some I think about 3 decades ago they relinquished control, and that was a planned thing to relinquish control of Hong Kong.
Great Britain's give up everything. It's funny because my wife is English. And my brother-in-law, and they talked about it. One time, Great Britain basically controlled most of the civilized world, and they've given them up everything except for, and I always think it's funny, the Falkland Islands. By God, Argentina, you're not taking those away. We'll give up America. We'll give up India. We'll give up South Africa. We'll give up all this. But, by God, you don't take the Falkland Islands away from us.
What is it with the Falkland? Is that where they're hiding all the tea or what?
What a way to take a stand, England.
Is that where they grow crumpets? I mean, I don't know.
Grow crumpets.
I'm not even sure what a crumpet really is.
It's a pastry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So it's a lot like an English muffin.
And don't send me angry mail. I'm not making fun of Great Britain.
That's fine.
It's a joke.
I don't care.
It's a joke.
Maybe we ought to skip that and do that next week, because I think we're running pretty long. We still need to do this week in tech history.
Yeah.
This week in birthdays and all sorts of stuff.
Let's jump on that.
You want to do this week in history? Do you take history
go
first?
ahead.
Okay.
All right.
Well, this week in history, this is the week we're recording this on the 10th of December.
10th of December.
This week in history, in 1787, Delaware is the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. Thank you, Delaware. Yeah. On this day in 1849, Harriet Tubman. On this week in 1849, Harriet Tubman escaped slavery in Maryland for the second time.
Wow.
And the final time. And after that, of course, she was on working the Underground Railroad. 1876, the U.S. Electoral College cast their votes in the disputed election between Rutherford B. Hayes and Samuel Tilden. There was a disputed vote. I believe I think it had to go back to Congress, and they had 2 different votes. And some say that Tilden won, some that say that Hayes won, and obviously we know who Congress picked. Hayes. 1877, the Washington Post publishes its first edition.
I wonder if they were. Oh no.
Yeah, I wonder if they were lying then. 1898, the Treaty of Paris, which ended the Spanish-American War, is signed, and the U.S. acquires the Philippines, Puerto Ricos, and Guam. It amazes me that in the late 1800s, Spain went to war with the United States.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy is it? Can you imagine Spain going to war with the United States today?
No.
It'd be like a 2-second thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Bang, done.
Yeah. Bang, you're dead. 1901, the first Nobel Prize in Physics is awarded to Wilhelm Röntgen on his discovery of X-rays. 1923, the first U.S. presidential address broadcast on radio by President Calvin Coolidge. I thought that'd be interesting since we're sitting here talking to microphones. 1936, Edward VIII announces the radio broadcast that he's abdicating the British throne to marry Wallis Simpson. And by the way, Wallis was a girl. It wasn't a dude, but she looked like a dude. Can you imagine somebody, if you look at a picture of Wallis Simpson and go, he gave up the whole British crown for that?
For that?
Yeah. She was a socialite and an actress here.
You know.
And a divorcee.
Sometimes love is blind, and sometimes it's.
Yeah, he must have been.
1941,
Japan bombs Pearl Harbor this week, of course.
The 80th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
That's right.
It's hard to believe it's been 80 years.
And let me tell you, I've traveled different places in the world, and if you go to the USS Arizona, I don't know if you can do the memorial anymore. I was fortunate enough to be able to do the memorial before they shut it for a while. That is one of the most solemn, sobering places in the world. That and Omaha Beach are two of the places that just it brings something over you.
But you realize when you're standing there at that memorial, you're standing over a gravesite.
Absolutely, yeah, and you treat it that way. You treat it that way. Also in 1841, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt delivers the Day in Infamy speech to Congress. That's a hell of a speech, by the way. That's one of the best ones.
It is. It's good.
1964, shooting starts on Star Trek, the original show. People don't realize it. This is why this is significant. Star Trek was like three seasons in the 60s, and it exploded into this massive, it's so many spin-offs, movies, and everything else. Pretty amazing.
It feels like it was on forever.
Yeah, it was 3 seasons.
Well, when you're a kid growing up in the afternoon, it came on.
Reruns.
It was on Channel 39 in Fort Worth, which was the, anyway.
I don't remember what it was on. I think it was Fox KJTL here.
It was, Fox 18, And it didn't matter how many times you'd seen that episode. You wanted to see it again. Yeah. It was the go-to thing.
And you always, the funny thing about Star Trek, especially those original ones, you always knew that they say, Spock, Bones, and Ensign Jones, come with me. Ensign Jones' ass was about to die. whoever the one that you never heard of,
that's the one's going away.
They're going to die.
Yep.
And they say in 1965, A Charlie Brown Christmas first debuts on CBS.
Oh, wow.
Yep. 1973, Gerald Ford is sworn in as the first unelected vice president, succeeds Spiro Agnew, who resigned over problems. Gerald Ford is the only person to serve as president that's never been elected. You realize?
Yep.
Oh, and he can still run. He can actually run for a full term.
Well, he can't now.
Well.
He's dead.
When he ran for re-election in 76, of course, he lost to Jimmy Carter.
That's right.
But his original running mate was oh my God, I just drew a blank. I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
But anyway, his original running mate bailed out.
Yeah.
And Bob Dole, who just passed away this week, was his new vice president on the ticket for the 76 election. And of course, he was tromped by
Jimmy Carter, who turned out to be probably now the third worst president.
Yeah,
Barack Obama, I think, was worse than Jimmy Carter, and obviously Biden.
Oh gosh!
Yeah. This week in 2000, the U.S. Supreme Court releases its decision in Bush versus Gore, setting the recount dispute in Florida's presidential election in George W. Bush's favor, and thus handing him the presidency. We had never heard the word "hanging Chad" until that time.
It took all that time.
All because some people in Florida couldn't figure out how to take a pin and push a hole in the car.
Push a solid hole through.
Well, they were dull. Those little hole punchers were dull.
Yeah, okay. 2008, Bernie Madoff is arrested and charged with securities fraud in a $50 billion Ponzi scheme, one of the largest Ponzi schemes of all time.
Yep.
This week in 2010, SpaceX becomes the first privately held company to successfully launch, orbit, and recover a spacecraft. That is significant.
It is.
Before, it took untold money and the government and the power of the government behind it, and now you see there's 3 companies now that are out there that are doing this.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys: has the development of private space flight, and obviously we're having great success with it, has that rendered NASA
obsolete?
Obsolete?
I don't think so. No, I think NASA has a place.
But saying that they're successful in part because NASA is still funding them. And the Air Force.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
It just switched from NASA doing it all. I mean, even then it was subcontractors of various sorts. Boeing and the big.
But I think if you take the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
If you take some of the bureaucracy out of the development happens faster on the public side. And so I think this is a good public partnership where NASA can oversee but not hold all the strings, because they create a bureaucracy that causes too much waste.
See, I always kind of felt like the feeling was that it would not be possible without NASA. It could never be done without NASA, period.
Yeah, but wasn't it?
And
you got to get Obama's the one that kind of started that part of it anyway, to get it away. They funded and got rid of the space shuttle and everything like that.
Which, but I think private industry has proven through all of this that they can do it, and they can do it well.
And they can do it efficiently.
They can.
This week in 2017, U.S. President Donald Trump officially recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Famous birthdays. This week, Peggy Sarala was born this week.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what year. That's my mom. So, yeah. She's not famous, but she's famous to me.
There you go.
And she's more important than any of these people on this list as far as I'm concerned.
Amen to that.
Walt Disney was born on this week in 1901, died in 1966. Didn't have a super long life, considering he packed a lot in there.
Supposedly he's on ice somewhere. Is that right?
Somewhere. I don't know. Little Richard was born this week in 1932, died in 2020.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
There you go. Martin Van Buren was born this week in 1782, died in 1862. Of course, he was one of our presidents. Andrew Cuomo is 64 years old this week.
Oh, boy.
Both Cuomos out of a job.
Man, I tell you what, them Cuomos.
Yep. Also 64 years old this week is Larry Bird, one of the greatest NBA players of all time.
Boston Celtics, right?
That's right.
Yep.
Randy Rhodes was born on this day in 1956, died in 1982 in a crazy plane crash. He was one of the great guitarists of all time, but he's in a very short period of time. He was Ozzy Osbourne's guitarist.
Yeah.
He and the hairdresser for the Osbourne tour wanted to go up in a plane, and they were going to buzz the tour bus, and they ended up crashing into a house. Killed him. Another rock person. I'm not that impressed with him, but some people are. Jim Morrison was born on this day in 1943, died in 1971. I think he's a Texas boy, too, by the way.
I believe so.
I believe he was born in Houston. Like his dad, like a rear admiral or something?
I think he was.
Which was completely opposite of, I don't remember all of it, but I think his dad was like an admiral or a rear admiral or something in the Navy, and Jim Morrison was a stoned-out hippie.
He was with the Doors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sammy Davis Jr., who loves you, was born on this week in 1925, died in 1990.
Yeah.
Kirk Douglas was born on this week in 1916 and died in 2020.
He had a good long life.
103 years old.
Yeah.
Donny Osmond is 63 years old today. Of Osmond and Marie, Donnie and Marie.
Donnie and Marie.
Nikki Sixx, another rock guy.
Yeah.
Lead guitarist for Motley Crue, is 62 years old today.
Wow.
Let's see. Clarence Birdseye was born in 1886. Of course, he was the first person to come up with the way to freeze dry vegetables. And Margaret Hamilton was born on this week in 1902. Yeah. You'll know her as, I'll get you, my pretty.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
The Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, a lot of famous people born in December.
Hey, there were.
Yeah.
On this week in December.
A lot of famous people's parents were highly occupied in March.
Famous.
Yeah.
I still, my Peggy Sarala is my favorite on the list.
There you go.
Hands down.
Yep.
Nobody gets more props than Peggy.
That's right.
Mrs. Sarala.
She put up with me, so I mean, hell. Come on.
I shouldn't call her by her first name.
Yep.
Mrs. Sarala. Sorry.
All right. This way in tech history.
Yes.
So, guys,
let's do it.
December 5th of what year?
Yep.
Did they complete? Now, this was the University of Utah became the fourth node of the ARPANET, which today, and so basically that was the original plan, is to locations, nodes that communicate.
Yeah.
So the last one on December 5th of what year was complete? That's what I'm saying. What year was it that they completed that on December 5th?
Go ahead, Mike.
1968.
I'm gonna say 72.
1969.
Wow.
And so but remember this was all an open thing. I mean, there was no security. It was, I know who that is there. Yeah. So when I send it, it's probably Fred at University of Utah.
Anyhow, it doesn't matter. Al Gore invented it anyhow, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Al and like 9 other people were on the internet.
Yeah. All right. So December 7th of what year did the RIAA, that's the Recording Industry Association of America, they ended up suing Napster. That was the big thing because
this was Metallica was actually kind of in
they
the
were behind a
this.
lot of that, pushed it, hard.
Yep.
So what year was that on December 7th that they filed at that point?
Okay.
Was it 2003?
99.
Yes, 1999. So you got to keep in mind at that point, it wasn't. I mean, Napster ultimately, I think, gave the music industry that oomph to move. I mean, Apple actually pushed it over and got the industry to go ahead and go digital. Yeah. Because before that, we were already, even before Napster came around, we were ripping music off of our CDs because we had them on the computer. We just didn't have any other place to play them because there weren't that many MP3 players. They eventually came along, but they were not bulky, but they were cumbersome to get. They didn't have much storage. So I think that was a major thing. So once this became a deal, they obviously ultimately got them to shut down. Apple came up with the iTunes Store, a way to buy digital music because there was no way. I mean, even if you wanted to buy it digitally, you couldn't. So that made it great.
I'm just a totally unsolicited testimonial here. I'm an Apple Music guy, and I love it because, I mean, very few songs that I want to hear that I've searched for have I not found. Very few. Most everything I want is there, and my music taste is such a broad, weird range that I can't find a radio station anywhere that plays what I want to hear. And so I just go to Apple for it, and I've very little of what I want have I not found.
And then of course it just works, and it's just part of your thing. And
really
you do search, and you search for anything when you're paying the subscription, and you can download them actually on the device. So even if you're running or whatever, you don't have, if you have a watch that's not cellular and that kind of stuff, you can still play them. So anyway, all right, this is a big deal. December 8th of what year was pretty much considered the first retail computer store, one of them anyway, in the U.S. And it was it's called the Byte Shop. It was in California, and this
Byte
was BYTE
Shop.
Yep. BYTE for computer. Megabytes and all that.
There's another Byte Shop in California too, but they sell other kind of stuff. They sell other devices.
So anyway, they're most famously known probably for selling the first 50 computers that from Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak when they were the Apple I. So there was a kit at that time. So anyway, so what year on December 8th did they open for business?
Your turn.
76.
74.
1975. So split the difference there. So that was a big deal in Apple's history because that was their retail outlet at the beginning.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool. All right. December 9th of I gave away a little bit, but you can say, when was the mouse?
Well, usually in tech history, it's not usually 18 or 17.
There you go. Yes, there you go. Well, sometimes, but so in this case, it was the mouse. It was the first demonstration of the mouse as we know it. It was part of a 90-minute public technology demonstration, which included innovations such as hypertext, which is basically the links that you see that you click on that's a hypertext. That's what HTML is, hypertext markup language. So it was an early version of that they're demonstrating. Video conference, and most famously the mouse. So when do you think all these gives you a time frame that at least in concept they were there and they were testing and they had physical models of that kind of thing? So what do you think? What year?
1982.
I'm going to skew earlier than that on that. I'm going to go 1968.
Boom. 1968. Wow. Yes. So that just shows you that a lot of this technology takes a while before it actually shows up. I mean, we know that the iPhone is basically, or cell phones in general, or like the communicators. Like how far in advance that Star Trek showed us.
I was going to say, in 1963, they Scotty had to beam people up with that thing.
That's right.
We haven't figured out how to break down the molecular structure of a human being yet and transport them. And I really don't want to be the guy to test that.
So turn out Spaceballs where your head's on backwards. You see your own ass.
December.
Somebody told me my ass was so big.
Yeah, so December 9th of what year did Microsoft release Windows 2.0?
Oh, good Lord.
It wasn't used a lot still, even because 1.0 came out. Nobody knew it. 2.0.
2.0.
Still weren't using it, but still, the beginning.
Your turn, Mike.
I remember Windows 95.
What year did that come
Yeah, that was one of my.
Yeah.
1990.
I'm going to say 92.
1987.
Wow.
So that was, it was when you got an operating system with DOS, they just threw it in. And finally, XP is really where Windows started taking off. And finally, have you ever heard of the game Doom?
Yes.
That was
one of the. Yeah, it was like one of the first shooter, like open shooter games.
Yeah, it was most influential titles in video game history, popularizing the first-person shooter.
Yeah,
which is so.
Played a couple times.
December 10th of what year do you think that was?
Man,
that would be 19. I'm guessing 96.
I'm gonna go with 94.
1993. So,
wow.
Yep, they were id software actually came out with it. So, but
so that would have been on the Nintendo platform.
No, it was on your computer.
No, I think it was. Yeah, it was just. It doesn't really say. Let's see.
It was on a PC. You had to play it on a PC, I believe.
PC, initially, yeah.
Okay.
That's the only place I ever played it. I didn't play it a bunch.
Because I had one of the early Nintendos, and I remember having it like my freshman year in college. I remember having one, but I don't remember playing that game on it.
No, you probably played it on the PC.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I played Donkey Kong and stuff like that on my Nintendo. I was a huge Donkey Kong nut. So anyway,
cool. So
all
there
right,
you go.
So I guess we're going to wrap it up here for this one.
Well.
Let's do it. This has been a long one. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I hope you have as much fun with it as we watch it as we did make it. If you've still got it on. But anyway, please subscribe, like, and share our YouTube channel. Be sure and check out our website. It is getitrightpodcast.net. As you can see here on the screen, it is a work in progress. Don't forget about our Facebook page, facebook.com/getitrightpodcast. And then, of course, on YouTube, just search for Get It Right Podcast on YouTube, and boom, you'll find us. But be sure to share it with all your friends. We appreciate all the likes and shares on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere. And, of course, you can find us on Spotify, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, all over the place. So thank you very much for being with us. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Get It Right with Mike, Trey, and Terry, and we will see you down the road. Take care, everybody.